It was just a couple weeks ago, we talked about how the MX-5 Miata is getting an extension with a gasoline engine. It's going to have a larger engine, a Skyactiv Z engine, which is a next-gen, more efficient setup. Despite the engine being larger, we might not see much more horsepower out of it. 6-speed manual is going to stick around. Lightweight's the key. It might be lighter than the current ND generation we're on, but patents just came out that Mazda's also working on cooking up electric roadster. Yes, fully battery electric. We'll get into that today, but guys, if you're new to the channel, I cover car news every single day. I also review cars. I am driving the Acura MDX Type S this week, so stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed for more coverage on this car. I'll review it. I'm also reviewing a Nissan Frontier. I also have a lot other news to cover today, from tariffs to Toyota and autonomy to sports car talk to BMW. There's a lot for me to sizzle through today, so make sure you guys stay till after we talk about the MX-5 electric. All right, if you guys are excited for today's coverage, hit that like button. And let's get into the first topic, Mazda MX-5 patents for fully electric variant. Now, what's crazy about it is that it's not a skateboard BEV platform where you just have a big rectangular battery pack at the bottom of the car, which is the vast majority of BEVs, right? No. Mazda's like, well, we want it to drive as similar as possible to a current MX-5, so we're going to distribute the batteries in a T-like formation, and kind of make it feel like a rear-wheel drive gasoline car as much as possible. So the batteries would be in the center of the car. Some of them would be behind the passenger and the driver's seat, and some of the batteries actually below the passenger seat itself. And then you would have an electric motor in the drive shaft area, and then that would connect to a rear differential. Sounds very complicated, but it seems like they would do everything to preserve the driving dynamics and the feel of an MX-5 despite it being fully electric. So what are my thoughts about it? Well, anytime you have a patent or a trademark, it doesn't mean that that vehicle or that technology will come. I think in my lifetime I'll see a fully electric MX-5, but it's not coming anytime soon. So don't get your panties in a bunch that the MX-5 is getting fully electric. It's cool that Mazda is refusing to lose its full identity and making it fully electric, and they will try to distribute the weight just the way it needs to be to make it feel the same in terms of turn-in feel, handling, etc. Currently, battery technology is not there to make it lightweight, so we're going to be waiting for solid-state batteries. And I have a beautiful blue BMW behind me, which is not going to pick up on the camera. Sorry to guys. Anyways, all right, so the next topic is tariffs. Yesterday I updated you guys how there's going to be a reprieve when it comes to the parts, and we have a signed document now from the president talking about, well, or I guess sealing the deal on the parts situation. So 15% of domestically made cars can get essentially a rebate / credit on foreign made parts being put into their car. All right, so in my drive, I wasn't able to accurately describe how complex this is. So here we go. Let's sit down in the office just for a little bit, and then we'll get back to driving. These tariffs won't stack. So if you have a tariff on steel and aluminum, that's not going to compound on already the foreign parts tariff of 25%. So parts in theory will only be tariffed at 25% still. But one order says that there will be a partial reimbursement for components that make up 15% of the vehicle's value for 1 year, 10% of the vehicle's value the second year. And these vehicles are only eligible if they're built into the United States or built in the United States. So that would mean Canada and Mexican built cars are not going to see this sort of reimbursement. However, those cars that comply with the USMCA agreement do get some other kickbacks. Automakers can apply for an import adjustment offset amount equal to 3.75% of the aggregate MSRP value of all automobiles assembled in the United States from April 3rd, 2025 through April 30th, 2026. That reimbursement would drop 2.5% the next year. The tariff revision means if an automaker builds a vehicle in the US and 85% of that content is made in the US or complies with the USMCA agreement, the company will not owe tariffs on that vehicle's production for the first year. If the automaker builds a vehicle in the US with 50% of the content coming from the US or compliant with USMCA, the company will pay tariffs on 35% of the content for the first year rather than the full 50%. And remember, that's just the first year, because the second year, I know it's hard for me to wrap my head around as well. So the next year, 2026 to 2027, if half of your car has foreign-made parts, you wouldn't be paying tariffs on 50%, you'd only be paying tariffs on 40% of the cars. Trump says they took parts in from all over the world. He doesn't want that. He wants the parts to be supplied in the United States. And we gave them a little time before we slaughter them if they don't do this. And slaughtering is a good word. He knows how detrimental this is to the suppliers and the automakers. And I don't know if there's a lenient enough ramp-up time for them to implement this. It seems maybe still a little too harsh, but time will tell. Let's get back in the MDX. All right, this Dodge is way too slow for me. I don't know what they're doing. All right, he's on his phone. I'm on my phone, technically, kind of. I don't know. I still like to ring out this 3-liter turbocharged V6, which is just so spunky in this vehicle. Wait for my review, I'll compare it to the GV80, that also a twin turbo V6, not a twin turbo, this is a single turbo. Anyways, a forced induction V6 in the GV80 that I drove last week, and this is very price competitive, just a completely different vehicle though. All right, I'm getting blinded by this. Can't wait to roast this vehicle and all its blinding spots. No, I'm not talking about traditional blind spots with the pillars and the seats getting in your way. No. Just me getting blinded by the surfaces in this vehicle. All right. In the meantime, that'll allow manufacturers to, make more parts in the United States. But guys, it's not going to happen in a year or two. This sort of relocation of parts manufacturing takes a long time. 2-3 years minimum, I would say. All right. So we'll see. I guess the tariffs are just a bargaining chip to get more manufacturing in the United States, and how they implement the tariffs, it's always changing. All right, and that's fine, I guess, from my perspective. They need to find a way to make it work for as many companies as possible. Anyways, BMW, next article, BMW is stopping production of EVs. They don't plan on changing prices because of tariffs until June, but they are stopping production on EVs, which is interesting. Maybe because of a lack of demand in the United States, not quite sure. But also because of tariffs. I mean, maybe the battery parts and battery components would be tariffed too much. So they're like, it's not even worth building these EVs, especially with, BMW's demand in the United States for EVs is actually pretty good. It is interesting. Maybe they just don't see the trade-off of producing EVs and the tariff situation. Maybe this just doesn't make financial sense to them. That's why they're stopping production on some EVs. All right, and with the EV tax credit, not really knowing where that's going with the administration that we have right now, maybe the BMW's just like, let's just not make EVs for a while till we figure out what's going on. I don't blame them. All right, Akio Toyota, another article. Akio Toyota says, heck no to EV sports cars. He said this blinker's really loud. He says sports cars need to smell like gasoline, and you need to be able to hear the engine for it to be a true sports car. Hey, I'm sure he's driven the Ioniq 5N. That's an incredible sports car as well, but it's not Akio Toyota's cup of tea. So what does that mean for Toyota? Don't expect EV sports cars anytime soon. Hybrid's a possibility, especially with the LFR coming for the twin-turbo V8 Lexus/Toyota model. That could be electrified, but it's not going to be fully electric, all right? So, yes, that's good news for Toyota. Toyota's also working with Waymo now. This is a really long write-up of how they're going to be joint developing autonomous software and possibly common sensors and other parts. So think of it as Toyota Safety System plus, all right? Just taking it to the next level. They could still, if they wanted to, because in the article they say, well, we're still trying to figure out what kind of collaboration and what kind of products are going to come out of this. So they could come out in the next few years with fully autonomous driving software from Waymo collaborating with Toyota. I just don't think that's what we'll see in the near term. The near term is just going to be amping up Toyota Safety System plus, right? Like whatever it's going to be. But it's cool that they're working with Waymo, and I think a lot of people would be excited for just better autonomous driving built into a Toyota. All right, so they can get, even better standard autonomous driving. I'm all for it. And then one day fully autonomous driving. But I've just arrived at, I'm not sponsored by Whole Foods, but if they want to sponsor me, that's great. I just arrived at Whole Foods. I got to make a return with an Amazon thing. I'll actually tell you what it is, give you guys a little insight. So Cassie, my wife, it was tough, right? We've been driving the Honda Odyssey 2025 for about 7 months, and we gave it up. So as a result, we gave up all the safety features it had, the blind spot monitors, the parking sensors, etc. And I thought about installing a camera system on our current minivan, the Toyota Sienna. It's a 2013. It has like 50 or 60,000 miles. Still essentially brand new, right? When you think about a Toyota minivan with a V6. So I thought about putting these cameras in there, and she's like, well, if it doesn't give me blind spot monitor, I'm like, technically it doesn't, but it gives you better viewing angles with your rear view mirror, digital rear view mirror, etc. She's like, just return it. Like, I'll live with it. So I'm like, all right, fine with me. I'll return this. This thing was like $300 or $400, so I'm gonna go return it right now. I'll go ahead. If you guys want to check it out, I can give you a link if you're interested in this. I was going to install it in my 2013 Sienna and get it like up to date with technology, but yeah, blind spot monitors technology essentially is almost impossible to implement into your car unless you buy it from the factory, right? It's just the sensors are embedded into the body panels, and so it's just a wiring nightmare, it's a sensor nightmare, it's a assembling nightmare and disassembling nightmare if you're going to do it aftermarket. All right, technology will keep improving probably on the camera end to give you better blind spot monitors. It would be more like blind spot view monitor that could be implemented in cars in the near future, which is starting to be honest, in the aftermarket. So essentially digital side mirrors in addition to your actual side mirrors. That is developing right now, but we're still a ways away from it being, I guess, what I would call ideal. So thank you guys for watching. Are you excited for an EV Miata? I mean, I think it'd be cool if Mazda came out with one in parallel to the traditional Miata. But the Miata sales are already very low. It's very niche. It doesn't make sense to co-develop two different Miatas unless certain markets are really begging for it, like Europe, for example. But anyways, I would love to drive one to see what Mazda can do with a fully electric roadster. But would I buy one over a manual, naturally aspirated MX-5? No, not anytime soon anyways, unless it's so good that it's just like I can't not live with it, but I highly doubt it. All right, let's go return this mirror. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. If you like me doing news updates in the car, let me know. It allows me to be more efficient with my time, sort of. So I can run errands and do news at the same time, all right? It requires a little bit more editing though. Anyways, I'm talking a lot. I've had a lot of espresso today. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day and peace.